Hello and welcome. So in today's show, we are looking, or we're going to be discussing version 1 of DCRDEX, which looks crazy exciting. If you haven't watched it yet, Exitus did a little preview this week of him doing some tests in the Decred news, which is absolutely amazing. And hopefully, if software permits, we'll try and get some of that up in a moment, just to kind of walk you guys through some of this stuff. We've also got some feedback from some of the lead developers, or Buck in particular, and hopefully we've got some developers in the chat as well that can kind of pitch in on any of this stuff as we go through. But before we get started, how are you on this lovely May Day?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, really excited to talk about the DEX. I think version 1, or I think it's going to be called version 1, is coming together really, really well. And I think it's something the community has been looking for a long time. Market maker bots, USDC on L2 Polygon, low fees, quick confirmations. It has a ton of potential. So excited to see what answers you've got from Buck on this.
Well, I tried to just put down all the common questions that I get on Twitter and all the other platforms of what people have been asking for. Now, the first one on my list is, and this is what I asked him, do you have an expected release date for version 1? And I saw in the Decred channel, someone just asked that. So this is very, very relevant. And what I can tell you is things are going very, very well. Testing, which started, I think, a week or two ago. And the release candidate optimistically is looking about 2 weeks away. So how software development generally works is you get a release candidate 1, and maybe if there's lots of unknown bugs, you'll get a release candidate 2, and then you'll get the final release. So looking at that time scale, we're certainly looking probably the middle of June, I would imagine. How is your initial feeling on how the testnet version feels?
Well, on the testnet, it's only Decred and USDC and Decred on Litecoin, and there's a bunch of different pairs now. There's Dash, there's Firo, there's even Z Classic. So I think there's going to need to be testing for basically everything. So it's a lot. It's a lot for one release, and I think there's a lot of edge cases with the market maker bots because there's different strategies. There's different ways it reacts. And for whatever reason, when I was testing the market maker bots, I was only getting a spread of 5% when I wanted a spread of 0.1%, right? I wanted a really tight spread and it was making it bigger. So I think there's still testing and work going on for those. And I think the market maker bots might be the most exciting element of this release, because I have yet to see a decentralized exchange incorporate that kind of technology where a user can make the market. And that's historically been one of the challenges with atomic swaps, is just, getting people to show up and use it. And I think it's been a big challenge for DCRDEX on all of the different pairs we have, other than the Bitcoin Decred pair. The other pairs kind of are a little bit empty. And I think that's going to solve that.
Yeah, I mean, I was lucky enough to use the market maker bot about a year ago, actually, when it was in really early development. And I was impressed at how many pairs or how many orders I could put up, and how close to spread I could get. One thing that was a bit harsh, and one thing we should probably say with the market maker bots at this particular moment, is it is possible to lose money as well as make money on them. I've run a couple of really unsuccessful market maker bots, which was my thing, so which was my fault, really. One of the issues there was the oracle. There wasn't an oracle, so if you only have limited amount of orders on the marketplace, it really swings massively, which can cause a few problems. Now, I do have a response from Buck about that. So if I just scroll through, I'll skip a few, but I'll come back to those in a moment. And I did ask, will market maker bots be coming to version 1? And he has said yes, but he's not sure whether he'll be opening it as a configurable in version 1.00. And the reason for this is so that advanced users that have used DEX before can actually just configure their system so it uses market maker bots. But those that are brand new to it won't kind of hit loads of problems straight away. So that might be the case. So that's what he's looking at the moment. So they will be available in version 1, but it might be something that you have to say, look, add market maker bots.
Well, the thing with the market maker bot is a basic user probably isn't going to use one because you need to have your system running 24/7 for to have the bot going and the orders online. So this is something really for an advanced user who has some sort of home server to just constantly run these things. Not to mention you need the supply, you need a bunch of coins in order to make the markets. So I think right out of the gate, it's okay. Sure, it's for more advanced users, which is fine. And you probably shouldn't expect to make a profit with the market maker bot. It's really there just to build the market and make the trading experience that much better. So my thought was maybe at some point, if we're having trouble getting funds, just put forth a proposal to DCRDEX market making proposal. Get some funds for that just to make the trading experience that much better. I mean, a lot of different coins pay for market makers um, on centralized exchanges just for that purpose. They lose money, but it's just making trading that much easier, which is the benefit.
One thing I'd also suggest is an approach that the BasicSwap guys did as well, where obviously they approached Decred to be listed and to gain some funds so that they could develop that. And one thing I'd like to see happening is because projects like Dash, Vero, Zcash, they all have pots of funds in their own coins, and it might be quite nice for whoever wants to run a market maker, and I'd love um, to actually approach those communities and put proposals up on those communities. Hey, we want to start a market for your particular coin, and actually get the other communities involved that way. And I'm hoping that other communities are listening today, because we do have some big information for Pharaoh and Dash and Zcash, which will be very relevant. So hopefully they'll see the potential. They'll see that DCRDEX is not Decred specific, and that it really does make sense to kind of put some funds into this. And I know, looking at the chat a few weeks back, Ruben from Vero has already said as soon as it's launched, he's gonna get involved in that, which is absolutely amazing. One thing that has come up, and this is something that Exus actually brought it up as an issue for DCRDEX first, and that was that fidelity bonds are causing a lot of problems with onboarding new users. It was kind of unacceptable that people would pay $100 or what equated to $100 just to use a DEX, and although that money came back, when people hit that barrier, it's like, oh god, so now I've got to go and buy some Decred to actually use this thing. And that was a real stumbling block. So I did ask that question as well, and I said, are there any plans to reduce the fidelity bond to help with onboarding? And Buck's given a really great response here, and he said, version 1, we're looking to introduce prepaid bonds. These will work like normal bonds, but the community can have as many as they want, and they can distribute them to friends and family and whoever, to get them onboarded. And I thought this was absolutely amazing, especially with the Vanguard project. We can actually just give out these prepaid bonds to get people on board. And I know, I mean, I've been trying to onboard my brother now for about a year, and that was his stumbling block. We got it all set up, and it was like, oh, but now I've got to kind of make that trade. So that'll be one of the first things I do with him is get him on and show him how it all works. But the prepaid bonds, these will be adjustable, so they'll initially start so you can just do a few trades, but you can adjust them to do more trades, and they're also expirable as well, which not really sure how that's going to work, but according to Buck, they will be fairly user friendly, and it should fill that gap, which is much needed, I think. Any thoughts on that, Exitus?
Yeah, so on testnet, I signed up to testnet using the prepaid bond, and it works really well. You just input a code, and the sign up without the prepaid bond, it was 0.1 Decred to create an account. I don't know if that's how it's gonna be on mainnet, but the prepaid bonds work really well. It's fast, it's easy, it's kind of what you would expect. I just forgot. I set up my account before I started doing any screen recording, so it didn't make it into the news update. But it's there. It works really well, and it's what I think we need for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, before we had the fidelity bonds, we did have the registration, and that was 0.1 Decred, and that always made a lot of sense to me. That just kind of works. And if the fidelity bond even starts at 0.1 Decred, I think that will be an absolute must. And most people probably won't quibble over a couple of quid or a couple of dollars to actually get started. And remembering it does come back to you. So that would certainly be, at the moment it's set at something like 2 DCR, but you obviously have to put 4 down, so you've got overlapping overlapping fidelity bonds. Um, I
Other
was gonna,
quick thing is when you set up an account now, it prompts you. It asks you which wallets you want to install. Like right in the beginning, it lists everything, and you click which ones you want. So it's not like you set up your account, then you have to go and manually add your wallets like it is now. So it's a little bit, I would say, slightly more user friendly, which is I think what people want to see.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, being able to install the SPV wallets like Decred, Litecoin absolutely makes a lot of sense. And anything that helps to streamline. But to be fair, like I said, when I was setting this up with my brother, and I just kind of like said, "All right, here's the installation." He just got on with it, and that was his stumbling block as he got to the fidelity bond. And in which case, after he'd done that, then he'd have had to set up the wallets, and I think he would have gone, "What's going on here?" Because obviously that takes a little bit of time as well. So yeah, I think that's an absolute must. Um,
One one more thing is when you launch the standalone client, it now automatically opens up your web browser. So before you would launch it, it would open up like a command prompt, and you have to copy and paste the web address. So now it's all automatic, and it feels a lot better in my opinion. So there's a lot of small things that are just making the user experience like that much better, and moving it towards a more I guess professional platform, I would say.
so can you now have an icon on your desktop or in your app folder?
I think there is an icon. I don't know if it's on the desktop. I've just been using it for my downloads folder, but
Yeah.
there is a icon in the tray which you can access at all times. And even when you
And now
close
you
out your
just
browser, the DEX continues to run, which is nice.
yeah,
And
so now
the
you just click on the icon and it opens.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it uses basically 0% of your CPU. Once you've got everything set up, it's almost like it's not running. So the system requirements are super low for it, which is really nice to see because you can just run this thing in the background and you won't even notice.
which is what you're going to need to do, especially if you're using the market maker bots. It does have to be running all the time.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
basically running the platform because you're peer to peer.
Well, yeah, if you're running it 24/7, you'd really need, I would say, a home server just because it's doesn't make sense. It's not efficient energy-wise, I think, just to run a laptop or desktop with a full-blown GUI 24/7. So luckily, you can buy a mini home PC for like $120 that's energy efficient. You can install Linux on it and then install Umbrel, and it's going to be super low power draw and really efficient. It's not going to be loud, and you can just run it 24/7.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Nexus did a video or tutorial on how to set up Umbrel using just a standard computer and one command to get it all up and running, which was
No, I
absolutely
didn't, but,
amazing.
I did a full node video, but maybe I should do an Umbrel video. Caramble had a tutorial for doing it on Raspberry Pi, but,
Sorry, that was yeah. You did the yeah. Sorry, that was Crumble. You did your full no video, which was one line command, which was absolutely amazing. Um, yeah, we definitely we should promote that more. Actually, I think the fact that we are, I know it's only a community store on Umbrella. We are there. You can do it that way, and a lot of people have called for that. And I believe actually getting DCRDEX from the community store isn't a massive step. Would I be right in saying that?
No, it's easy. You run a single command. The thing is now Umbrel actually updated to they updated to a new version, and I'm not sure how the DCRDEX runs on that version. I talked to Peter Zen, who did the Umbrel integration, and he said stick to the old version because it's more stable. But the new Umbrel version is a new operating system, so you can't run it on top of Linux anymore. So it completely changes everything. So if I want to upgrade, I have to completely wipe my computer. So it's a lot of people were really upset about that, especially all the people running Bitcoin full nodes in Umbrel. It's hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes, and now they have to basically copy that data and completely redo their system. So there's a lot of people upset about that. For now, personally, I'm just going to stay on the old version that works well. Uh, but it's something to look into because obviously, if a new user tries to do Umbrel, they're going to install the newest version, right? So maybe
Why
I'll
have
test that out.
why have they done that? That's so that you can no longer run it on Linux. It's all their own platform now, isn't
It's
it?
it's its own operating system. Yeah, I think I'm not exactly sure. I think there were certain upgrades they made that you can't run it on top of something, but that's what they did. Yeah, there are a lot of people upset about it. They're like, "Oh, my
Yeah.
my whole system's screwed up now."
Well, especially if you are trying to do a Bitcoin node, which, from what I've seen, it takes an absolute age to get sorted. So yeah, absolutely amazing. I'll have a look at that. I have been thinking about getting the Umbrella one. A couple of the guys in the chat was kind of like, no, you need to do it this way, but I haven't quite got
Well,
around to
yeah,
doing it.
they try to sell their hardware. So Umbrel, you can buy it as its own device for about $400, which is overpriced. It's about two
Yeah.
times more than if you just did it on your own. But they try to sell their own version a lot, and with that, you just plug it in and it just works. So if you're someone who doesn't want to deal with installing operating systems and you just want to support Umbrel with your money, you should just buy the system. But it's easy enough just to buy a mini PC for even like 100 $120. You don't need a strong computer to run DCRDEX. So that's an alternative.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely one of those people. When it comes to my network and my home security, I really want to kind of put something together that works. And I have had experience in the past where I've just kind of opened up all kinds of security issues, which obviously is not ideal. But anyway, back to the DEX. The next onboarding issue that we perceived was the lot sizes. This is still causing a lot of people bugbears, and it's only BTC at the minute. Most other lot sizes for other pairs like USDC, Litecoin, they're very, very small, but BTC has a lot size of 40. So the question I asked, are there plans to reduce the lot size for BTC pairs? And the answer was kind of yes and no. So as one solution that they're currently looking at is that we will have a more adjustable rate. So as the fees go down, the lot size will adjust with it. This will cause for the order books to kind of get revoked and then to be rebuilt. But apparently the software is going to smooth all that out, so it's not going to be a massive issue. But that is something that they're looking into for part one. So there will be kind of like I guess dynamically changing lot size would be one way of saying that. The other option that was said was wrapped BTC. So we are getting Polygon wrapped BCC, which are going to have incredibly low lot sizes and incredibly low fees, which sounds interesting. I've never used them. It's not something that I probably would ever use either. But for people that might be interested in BTC and wrap BTC, that could be really interesting. The other option is and this is what his words, we're developing a mesh protocol to eliminate prescribed lot sizes. More to come on that. So that sounds interesting. So my assumption with that is as the mesh network gets built out, um, the servers that are running the specific order books will be able to set their own lot sizes. But once again, we'll hear more from Buck on that in a future episode, hopefully. What are your thoughts on lot sizes? Do you think that's a good solution?
Well, I think the key here is just getting away from the Bitcoin pairs and having active pairs with USDC on Polygon, and maybe even some altcoin pairs, Decred Litecoin, maybe Decred Furo could be interesting, because I just think the Bitcoin and the fees, it's something you can't win. I've never messed with the wrapped assets, and from what I understand, it's a little questionable because you're not actually holding real Bitcoin, you're holding a wrap version. Um, so I'd be curious to see if anyone uses it. Uh, but certainly I think low lot sizes is something everyone's asked for. And from what Buck has told me is on the USDC pairs, it's only going to be a lot size of $1. So very low lot size there. So I'm looking forward to that. I think if Bitcoin stays where it is now, it's okay, because again, the fees are so high. You don't want to screw people with the fees, because the average user might not understand that if you're paying, $20 to do a trade and you're only doing a $200 trade, now you've just paid 10% in fees, which isn't a great experience.
And we spoke to the BasicSwap guys in our last episode, and we asked them exactly the same question: how do you deal with lot sizes? And their answer was, we don't. We basically, you're the user. You need to kind of look at how much it's going to cost. And although I accept that, I do think a lot of new users are going to hit their head against the wall if they come up against a 10% fee. I think especially if you only want $200 and you end up with $100 worth of Bitcoin or whatever, that's might be a tough pill to swallow. So that's a tough one, and especially on the halving day, the fees went up to like 1,000 virtual sats or whatever, and they've been fluctuating between 14 sats and 200 for quite a while, which is for an atomic swap platform actually causes a mass amount of issues. And it's one of the reasons I've kind of stepped back from using BTC, and I've been using USDC for a little while now. It's not ideal the way I do it, but USDC on Polygon is pretty cheap as chips. Actually, at the moment I always lose out on my slippage, that using the simple swaps that they do, but getting a Decred to USDC pair for me is going to be absolutely amazing, knowing that the fees are less than a penny, knowing that I can do a $1 trade or whatever is absolutely amazing. Which brings me to my next question I asked Buck is, what new pairs and coins can we expect? And the big answer was lots of USDC pairs. And this is where other communities really need to get involved, because one of the things he said here is we are going to introduce pretty much a USDC pair for every major coin. So Pharaoh will get one, Dash will get one, Zcash will get one, but they will only stay in that shape if those communities build a market. So I want to say anyone that's in the DGB market, Digibyte space community, anyone that's in the Pharaoh community, the Dash community, Zcash, now is the time to start thinking about getting your markets up, because it would be a real shame to have a free marketplace like that where there's no fees, where it's absolutely cheap as chips to kind of trade between each other, but to lose that because you haven't built that market. And that's something that we need to be kind of prominent on now. Is actually, if you're going to be listed, we've got to start building those markets. I don't think it's not acceptable to have pairs on there that are completely inactive. And it's something that I'm pushing for massively, especially when version 1 comes, especially when everything becomes easy to install. And once again, after talking to the BasicSwap guys, they're literally running their platform with full nodes and they're getting users. So I don't see why our platform using both full nodes and SPV can't do exactly the same. And
Well, a lot of the altcoin pairs are using they're using Bitcoin right now, and I think that's just a showstopper. So it makes sense people haven't stepped forward, but certainly with USDC on Polygon, there really is no excuse for communities not to make markets, and it's something we can be really loud about. And what's also amazing is obviously the Monero proposal passed, so they're going to be adding Monero. And I don't know if you saw this, but local Monero, which was a major peer-to-peer platform, is shutting down. So they're shutting down their services, and they even said like, "Hey, we're shutting down. There's DEXs being made," and they named Havana, Sarai, and I think BasicSwap as places to trade Monero. And local Monero was a brilliant platform. It's very easy to use. But they're shutting down, and it was kind of this huge shock because they've been running for so long, and so many people in Monero use it. But certainly, I think DCRDEX or whatever it's going to be called. I think it's going to be called Bison Wallet or Bison Exchange. Is going to be there, and I think we are building one of the most comprehensive atomic swap dexes with the full blown order book, the market makers. It's coming together really well.
Yeah, definitely, and I know. A few of the community members, I think Tivra said about it as well, about the local Monero being one of his places that he really thought was excellent, as did Ronnie. So it doesn't surprise me that that come as a massive shock, and the business model for these exchanges has really changed. Anyone that's putting themselves front and center as a business that's selling privacy coins, I think they're in for a real rough time coming ahead. So any platform like BasicSwap, DCRDEX that are building this stuff out in a peer-to-peer nature, decentralized peer-to-peer nature, it's a win-win situation. And for years, me and Exitus have been sat here saying this is the case, and it really is coming to fruition now. If you're not going in this direction, you're causing yourself problems. The business model has changed. People are going after. If you're a central figure that's standing out in front of everyone saying, "Look, I'm selling this, I'm selling that," the authorities are definitely stamping down on it now. And peer-to-peer is the way it should be. It's always been that way. It's one thing I was saying to I can't remember who, but this has been seven years in the making. DCRDEX hasn't happened overnight. It's literally taken 7 years, and it's not built just for Decred. Decred saw a problem. The problem was we couldn't get on any exchanges. No one wanted us. No one wanted to kind of acknowledge that we existed. So we built our own DEX because, it's the only way you can survive if you make your own markets, if you make your own space. And it's really nice, or not for them, but it's nice for us to see others now in that same situation. And they've now got a platform like Pharaoh and Dash and Zcash. They've all got a platform they can come to. We're not calling it our own, it's for everyone. And that's important, that we can all build this together, and it can get better and better and better. No middlemen, no fees, no nonsense. It's a real big deal. Now, one thing I do want to say, a bit of official information, and I know X has just alluded to it a moment ago. Question I asked, is version 1 being rebranded? And this has never been officially said, but I've been given permission to officially tell you what the name of the new brand is going to be. And it probably won't come as much of a surprise to anybody, but the official name of the wallet, not the server, not the server side infrastructure, that's still going to be DCRDEX, but the actual wallet, the client side infrastructure, the thing that all of us will interact with, is going to be called Bison Wallet. And there you go, big drum roll. That's what it's being called officially. But Exus already knew that. What do you think of the name Bison Wallet?
I mean, I think it's just an improvement over DCRDEX, because everyone assumed that you needed Decred to trade, or you needed some token, or there was rent seeking to Decred. So it's a more neutral name. I don't have any strong opinions on the name. I hope people like it. I know, as far as the DEX goes, the only thing, as far as the interface goes, the only thing changing is likely the DEX symbol is being changed to a bison. I don't have super strong opinions. I think it's a step in the right direction for sure, just because of the example I just said. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think the more you look at this stuff, you don't want to put barriers up for people to use this stuff. And talking to the BasicSwap guys, and I hadn't realized that it was it PivX that was behind that, or Particle? I can't remember.
Just
But
particle,
I hadn't, sorry?
particle, yeah.
Particle. Yeah, I hadn't even realized that there was a project behind it. And I guess that is something that's quite special in its own right. The fact that it's called BasicSwap and people can just get involved. There's no showstoppers. It's like its own product, and I quite liked that. So
Well, for
in many
theirs, you
respects,
do need to run a particle full node to access it, so it is a little different. But yeah, they don't try to
yeah,
include that. I mean, it's not like a huge deal to do it, but in Decred or Bison Wallet, you won't have to run any nodes you don't want to run, which is nice.
yeah, absolutely. And that was the point I was getting to. Is, in actual fact, it's the way it should be. It should be neutral, because all the time we're fighting against other implementations that are trying to do similar things. It just becomes a bit of a nonsense, when really and truly, we're all trying to build similar products, but maybe in different ways, and we want to interact with each other. And it's important that we've got a product that says, hey, this is for everyone. And I definitely think that DCRDEX or Bison Wallet, that's what we built. And I definitely feel the same about the basic wallet, BasicSwap, after talking to those guys. I'm not really sure that I've seen any other projects doing that, but I'm sure in time we will. And I definitely feel that is the right way to go. So calling it Bison Wallet, absolute. And hopefully when the mesh network gets here, that won't even matter anyway, because each community will be able to call it whatever they want. And that's really where we want to be. It doesn't matter what it's called. We just all need to be using the same order books. Fighting against order books is a ridiculous notion, in my opinion. Just trying to build it all up together. I've lost where I was now. So so we've covered that. Then the next thing is and this was a massive topic, because obviously certain coins have to have full node wallets and other coins have to have SPV. So the question I asked next was, which of these coins, these new coins, which were Polygon, USDC, which were the main two. There's also Z Classic, Pharaoh, Dash, Digibyte was there already, but obviously they're getting new pairs with USDC as well, which would be absolutely amazing. But one thing I've said now is, which of these will have an easy to set up internal wallet? And it obviously Decred will, Bitcoin will, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash. So will Polygon. They've got a one-click installation. So have Ethereum. And then all the others will have the RPC setup. So Pharaoh, Digibyte, Zcash will have full node setups, which should be what most of those communities are used to setting up if they're running their own full node wallets. Have you noticed? What did you think about the one-step setup for Polygon?
It was really, really fast. I think the only small annoyance was you need a little bit of Matic to create the wallet, if I remember correctly. So Matic is what Polygon runs on. So you just need a really small amount, like probably less than $1, and that's how you set up your wallet. But yeah, you basically just click a button and it works. And your Ethereum on testnet, at least the Ethereum and Polygon address is the same, which is pretty interesting, right? Because obviously Polygon's a layer 2. And your Matic and your USDC address is also the same. But for us, it just worked really well. We're still trying to accumulate some testnet Polygon. It's kind of hard to get. I was able to get a lot of Ethereum by messaging Circle, but for Polygon specifically, I was able to accumulate a few hundred. Buck only had 60 in total, $60 in Polygon USDC. I got a few hundred, but if the community wants to, you can go to Faucet Circle, and you can collect Polygon on Amoy. So maybe I can type this. I'm not in the chat. How do I join? Maybe I'll put this on Twitter later. But you can go to the faucet and collect 10 at a time from on Polygon testnet. And if we can accumulate a few hundred funds from the community, it would really help for just testing purposes.
All right. Oh, yeah, that's a good thing to do. Out of interest, has Coinbase sorted out their Polygon USDC for you guys yet?
I haven't tried it in a bit, but from what I experienced, if you send Polygon USDC even to your Ethereum address, it just works. Even though it says don't send anything but Ethereum, it just works. But I should probably try that again. But Coinbase is such a mess. Like it's different in every region, and they're very vague, but it worked last time.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I sent you some Polygon and you received it. Okay, which was Polygon USDC. I mean, I've lost my track now. I've been skipping around in all my questions. How long have we got, Exodus? We've got about another 10 minutes or so. Guys, if you've got any questions you want to pitch in, I mean, I'm happy to take them. If we've got anyone from the other communities like Pharaoh, Digibyte, Zcash, let us know you're there. And if you have any questions about your particular products, we'll try and answer it as best we can. Which will bring me on to my next bit. So another question which came up from the proposal was having advanced features for each of the wallets, like privacy and voting. So this was something big on the proposal, and initially they were looking at Decred and Zcash having advanced features. So I did ask, how is this coming on? Are we getting this in release 1? And the first response was Decred privacy is ready and it's one-click enabled. So in version 1 DCRDEX, we now have privacy for Decred, which is absolutely amazing. So if you want to trade with full privacy, you click the button, and Exodus will fill me in on that in a second. But it absolutely works. What are your experiences with Decred privacy on DCRDEX so far?
Yeah, so it's easy. You just click a button, enable privacy, and what it does is it'll shift your Decred balance. It'll just shift it through the mixer. The only error I kind of ran into it was when you turn it on, it doesn't communicate to you that your funds are going to basically be frozen until they go through the mixer. So I had a little confusion with that. But it's something I told Buck to maybe look into for the user experience, of make it very clear. If you turn this on, your funds are going to have to go through the mixer before they're ready. And of course, you can just press another button to turn it off, and then you don't have to worry about the mixing. So it's very easy. It's right there. It's easy enough to turn on, and yeah, it's fine. And then there's also staking, which we haven't tested out just yet, but it's all there. It's very simple. You can choose to stake and set your voting options and your VSP.
Yeah, Buck said that is just one-click staking as well, which, how amazing is that this stuff is actually happening as a follow-up. The version 1, this is for Zcash specifically. Zcash will be shielded by default, which sounds amazing to me. I didn't understand the next bit, but for those Zcash people, this means that a typical user Your funds will be kept in the Orchard pool and will be moving funds in and out as needed for trades. All addresses are unified addresses, though we expose the individual receivers. So if you're a Zcash user and that makes sense to you, it sounds very exciting, and I think that's a massive bonus for anyone that wants to trade with privacy. I think that sounds exciting to me. But at this particular moment, I think it is just Zcash and Decred that have got these advanced features, and obviously moving forward, there will hopefully be more of them. Any other thoughts on those features? The other thing that I was going to say, what are your initial reaction to the actual user interface? How does it look? How does it feel?
I mean, it looks, it's just about the same as before, I'd say. It's a little more cleaned up. I really like that there's transaction history for everything. So if you do a transaction, you can actually look at it on the block explorer, which before you couldn't do. And a few weeks ago, I even did like a Litecoin transaction from the Decred wallet, and it was on SPV, and sometimes with SPV it doesn't go through. And I was like trying to find it on the block explorer, and I couldn't. And I was thinking, man, like if we're gonna call this a wallet, we really need to have the transaction history. And now we're having that. So I was really happy to see that. It's all very clear, the coins you've sent, received, and the dates in the block explorer. So that's going to be a really nice improvement.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah. I think that's an absolute must, actually. So, excuse me. The next question, which was hot on everyone's mind, was the work being done on the mesh network. Now, I will say in advance that this isn't Buck's area, but I just wanted to kind of get his views on what's happening with the mesh network and how that's kind of going on. So he said here that my focus has been squarely on version 1, but some DEX developers are now redirecting their efforts. So obviously, as version 1 is coming to a close, some of the developers have moved on towards making and working on the mesh network, and it's processing and the process is being picked up, especially around critical Oracle features. But he said we can do a follow up with this once version 1 is out, and we'll kind of look at the direction that the mesh network is going in. But the important thing there is the mesh network is still happening. It's still on track. Obviously, everything's kind of been set back because this next release is going to be so big. I mean, so much work has gone into this. Has it almost been a year and a half since the last big release? Is that right? Since 0.6?
No, it's been about a year, maybe a year and a month. I think it released in either April or May. So it's been about a year.
Yeah, but so much has gone into from that point to now. We've had 3 proposals launched, and all of that effort has gone into this. So yeah, it's pretty monumental, I think, and I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to kind of get my hands on it. So the next thing I asked was, what other new features and improvements can we expect in version 1? And he's said about the staking and the UX. It's got really, really good. What he does want, if any of you can do testing, feedback from the community is going to be really, really important over the next couple of weeks as we move to that release candidate 1. So if you are testing, if you're able to do that, as Exitus said, give lots and lots of feedback, and let's kind of squish out all these bugs before release candidate 1. And then the final thoughts, Buck's final thoughts, was just what is he most looking forward to? And I think he's just looking forward to the release, because it has been a culmination of years of effort and development work, which has been slow at times, but now is in full pace, and it's going forward really, really well, which seems really positive. And the final note that he's made is, once version 1 is released and it's out, he's looking forward to doing a lot more marketing work and kind of getting the word out there more. And I think we're all kind of looking forward to that as well. And we're all kind of looking forward to having a product that we can promote and we can start onboarding. Any thoughts? I think I've covered pretty much everything. If anyone's got any comments in the chat, obviously give us a comment if there's anything you're specifically looking forward to. But I think that rounds up pretty much everything. My biggest thing is probably the market maker bots. I'm really looking forward to those. Any thoughts from you? I'll just have a quick scan
Yeah,
through this.
I would say certainly once this is released, we can go really, really hard on marketing, and it's basically the perfect timing because there's a shift towards dexes away from the centralized exchanges. What with the Monero stuff, even with the stuff going on in the U.S., where it seems like they're targeting any form of self custody. So, which is absolutely crazy. They're targeting privacy, self custody. So this is coming at a pivotal time, and it's something we need. And this release fixes so many things of just the small things. Like I said, the prepaid bond, the standalone client will now automatically launch in your browser. The lower lot sizes, the low fee pairs. They're even adding a Tether, the USDT on Polygon. So that is the most popular trading currency. If you look at exchanges, is USDT. Some places have USDC, but USDT is kind of the main one. So that's going to be really big. And I'm looking forward to just working with other communities and maybe going on different live streams with Firo, Digibyte, maybe Zcash, and just Monero, just telling them about this. Like this exists. It's been worked on for years and years, and it's finally in this great place. And as an addition, you have this amazing market maker tool. The GUI is super easy. You can run a market maker in literally 20 seconds. You just click a few buttons. And it's funny because Decred historically hasn't released products with the most amazing UI, and then we have the market maker bot, which has super easy UI. So it's kind of amazing. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I hope the community goes really hard. We're going to be using Vanguard money to promote the DEX, do giveaways, directing people to the DEX. I hope the rebrand goes well. I'm looking forward to whatever the new website's going to look like. And I guess all else I have to say is if you want to get a quick look at the DEX, check out my Twitter page. I'm going to be posting maybe a few more videos, just quick videos on the market maker bots. Look at the latest news update. The first few minutes, I kind of just click around, go through it. And I guess the only thing else we have to talk about is Bison Relay had a new release. It's getting better and better. They updated the UI. You can now have avatars, which I think already makes the experience a lot
Yeah.
easier, especially when you look at like your chats. It's like you don't have to like look for someone's name. You just look at the avatar, which is awesome. So things are getting better and better. So that's the Decred way. Things just get better.
It's all since joining this community some many years ago now. It's always something I've been very impressed with. They release the product, and then it's all about working forward and making it making it just shine really. And Bison Relay, like you said, the release this week, there's some really nice things in there, and generally the improvements are massive. I know there's still a lot to do. It's still not 100%, but from what I'm hearing, the mobile interface for Android is absolutely amazing now.
Yeah.
But sorry.
The one other thing I've been up to is I've been talking with there's an organization called Hummingbot, and they have an open source. It's called liquidity mining, and basically it incentivizes users to go on say Binance and provide liquidity, and they get rewarded liquidity mining. And it's something Firo has been doing for a few years, and I reached out to them, and hopefully they'll be submitting a proposal maybe even this week. But I'm in talks with them of setting up a liquidity mining campaign, and basically that does a few things. Is one, it attracts a bunch of users to Decred, people who've never heard of it. It exposes to them, and what they do is they just show up with their market makers, and they provide liquidity, and they get rewarded in Decred. So that it's going to improve liquidity, expose Decred to a bunch of people, and it makes something like it makes Binance happy to see liquidity and pairs doing well. So that's something that should come maybe this week or the next week. I'm still in talks with Hummingbot, but I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I've used Hummingbot a few years back actually, on there as a market maker. But yeah, that sounds exciting anyway. And I also want to say about Exitus's video. Yeah, that first minute or so that you were clicking around, it's amazing. If you haven't seen that, well worth a watch, just to see how DCRDEX is shaping up. It's absolutely amazing. And just one final shout out to all the various communities, Zcash, Digibyte, Pharaoh, Dash. Start preparing to get some liquidity. Let's get that pair. As I understand it, all of you are getting a USDC pair from day one. So it'd be really nice to see that liquidity there and start building out from that point forward. Exodus has to go in about 10 seconds. There is a comment here from Luke Jones. It's a little bit off topic. It's not something I've run into before. Why does Decrediton have errors when buying multiple tickets regarding spendable UTXOs? What's the best? I don't know. What?
He's saying sometimes when you buy a bunch of tickets, it rejects a few of the tickets based on your UTXOs. Yeah, that's something that's happened with the privacy system. I'm not sure if there's a way to fix that. I don't know off the top of my head. I think it's about managing your UTXOs maybe, but that's something you should definitely ask in the Decred support room. You're going to get a professional answer of people who work on the software and can give you a more clear answer. That's something I can't answer, but I do know that is a problem for some people if you're buying a bunch of tickets at once.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. I'm only a small holder, so I don't need to do that. But
Can you
yeah,
can
it
you just
might
say
put people off.
could you just say one more time when you think that you said the release candidates in about 2 weeks?
Well, if all testing goes well, a couple of weeks is what Buck has said. So that'll be release candidate one. I'm probably thinking hedge towards more of a month, maybe a month and a half. But certainly, if testing goes well and they can get as many testers as possible, I see no reason why it couldn't be quicker. But he said a couple of weeks for release candidate one, and then after that, hopefully that should bring a close to it all, and we'll get version one, and then the real fun starts.
All right, yeah.
Exus, it's been an absolute pleasure. Everyone in the chat, it's been an absolute pleasure. We will try and follow this up next month at the beginning of the month, and hopefully we'll have some more data about both Bison Relay and what's going on there, and DCRDEX. It's been a real pleasure. As always, Exus, do you want to send us out on a final note?
Yeah, just thanks for watching and check out the latest news video to see what's up with the DEX, and I hope everyone shows up to maybe test it or just use it when it comes out. But thanks, guys.
Great stuff. Thanks, everyone. Take care.